Now, Edward Woodward has come a long way since he was appearing weekly on television as tough spy catcher Callan. He's had 3 musical spectaculars of his own. He's made umpteen records. In fact, he has 4 gold discs in Australia. He's compared the Miss World competition, and he's starred in the Royal Command film Breaker Morant. He's currently working on a television series for America, or it could be a television series. He's with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Edward Woodward. Just let me explain that when I said a television series, what I meant was that you are currently working on one of only 2 films being made in Britain at the moment, and it could either be shown in the cinema, or it could be a pilot for a television series in the States, or it could be a one-off.
Yes, it is in fact quite unique because, you know, there's many reasons as to why the British film industry collapsed. One of the main reasons is lack of money. People will not invest in British films, and the most extraordinary thing is, of course, therefore, that the Americans come over and make Star Wars with our technicians, our studios, our know-how, American money, and all the money goes back to America, and it doesn't stay here. There's no profit that comes here. I mean, Superman, all those films. And it's basically because of the lack of confidence, for British money to be put into British films. And this is unique because what's happened is that the National Coal Board Pensions Fund has backed this production. It is a new British independent company called First Principle Company. And they have backed this production, which is unique. So, I mean, if it's a success, then that means that all the profits from that will go back into making more and more British films.
Well, could they get their fingers burnt?
No, because they are guaranteed by private money. In other words, the Coal Board Pensions Fund have put their money where their mouth is, and the private people have put their mouth where their money is. So that if by any chance it does fail, the pension fund and the money that the pension fund people put into it is totally secure because it's backed by private money.
So if it is a success, on the other hand, it could really be a big step forward.
Oh yes, because under the agreement, all profits from this particular venture going to be ploughed back into making more British films.
Because the irony is that as the British film industry collapses around our feet, the Australian film industry is really taking off. I mentioned the film Breaker Morant, in which you appeared, which was an Australian film, got a tremendous reception both here and in America.
Oh, yes,
in fact, I was very sad to miss it. But it was set in the Boer War.
Why did you miss it?
Because it didn't.
You should have lined up at your local cinema. You should have gone to see it.
And if it ever appeared in Birmingham, I certainly didn't see it advertised. But just let me say, it's set in the Boer War.
Indeed,
Breaker Morant was a real person. He was an Englishman, although he'd gone to Australia. He was fighting with an Australian unit. Why did they call him Breaker Morant?
Because he was the greatest horse breaker that Australia's ever known. He went out from here in the 1890s, and all he could do was ride horses. And so he became a great horse breaker in Australia and a sheep herder, and that's how he became known as Breaker. And he wrote poetry, pretty bad poetry, a lot of it, but he did write poetry.
So did they choose you because you were a good man with horses?
You're joking. No, I think I'm the worst man in the world with horses, mainly because I'm terrified of horses. Like honour. If there's a horse watching, please, I didn't say it. Right? No, I went down to my local horseman, Mr. Pettigrew, down in my local village. And it was 2 winters ago, very, thick ice everywhere and snow. And so the horses couldn't go outside at all. But he had a little indoor ring. And when I went down there, he said, Mr. Woodward, what do you want me to teach you? And I said, I want you to teach me to be the best rider that Australia's ever known. And he took one look at my weight and shape and, laughed straight into my face. And he got his big horse, the biggest horse he'd got. And he put me on this horse, you see, and he said, right, now, and I told him I was playing this soldier, and I was going to have to lead my men into various charges, carrying a revolver. So he said, have you ever galloped before? And I said, no. He said, right. So, and he said, what saddle are you using? And I said, they're using British military saddle. So he got a British military saddle, and we started only about 3 months, and I was going round and round and round in circles. I learned how to hold my hands behind my back, lift one leg up. I was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I really was the best rider in the whole of my part of Warwickshire at that time, going round in a circle. That is, we never got out onto the flat because of the ice and the snow. So I get over to Australia, and I get over about a week beforehand, and we're rehearsing in a big showground near this little town where we're shooting. And there's a great little man called Heath Harris, who was the horse master. And this showground is full of actors jumping on and off horses and extras falling off buildings, you know, rehearsing and practicing. And as I came into the ring, they stopped. And I could tell what was going through their heads, you know. Hello, here comes the pommy pufter, you know. We're going to watch him, mate. You watch him take a Kaiser right on the floor there. So I got on the horse with all the confidence at my command. And Heath said, "OK, Ed?" And I said, "Yes, fine." He said, "OK, Ed." He said, "I want you to take off now." He said, "The horse is used to everything. There's nothing you can do to this horse that he doesn't know about. He's a fully trained film horse. OK, he's absolutely marvellous. Off you go, Ed." Hit the horse in the rump, and the horse went, and I went round in a circle. And I went round and round. And Heath Harris going, "Ed? Ed? Ed? Somebody catch the poor bastard with Ed? Ed, will you come? Ed?" And so I finally pulled the horse up. And he said, "Ed, unfortunately, we're not making a cowboy picture here. Otherwise, we'd cast you as one of the bloody Indians, mate." He said, "Could you think you could take my horse and go in a straight line?" And I said, "No." "Is that the way they teach you to ride over there?" he said. And I said, "Well, yeah, it was all in the snow." So he took me out, and for about 3 days, he led me by the rein, you know, with the horse. I mean, I didn't have a rein.
Told you to ride in a straight line.
And taught me to ride in a straight line. So I was able to lead my men into battle.
Let's take a look at a scene from Breakup.